Goeiedag, good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. And this is a story that has to be told because we've been covering this walk of faith, which for one of the parties, in my perspective, has become a walk of shame. And I'll explain to you why. Before detailing the facts that I have on the split between Edward and Jarrett, let me just share where Loving Life is coming from. I first heard about Edward and Jarrett when I was invited by someone, out of the blue, to join the Walk for Jesus group on WhatsApp, which was their Walk for Faith group. Following my coverage on Jason Bartlett's walk in the US last year, I was intrigued, so I joined. What I found was two people on an epic walk starting at Howick in KwaZulu-Natal who had not done any planning, had no financial support, and had ill-fitting tackies, which were causing issues even before they got to Moy River, which is just up the road from Howick. I decided to bring the Loving Life family in to support the two men, one a very young man and the other a generation older. They had met on Facebook before the walk after Edward, the older man, had spoken of his mission to embark on a walk of faith to Cape Town via Bloemfontein. Edward had welcomed the younger man, Jarrett, joining him. And so it was. I covered their walk live each day and filmed their time in escort as they walked through the town I had once spent many years in. At this time, Edward was complaining about his blisters because of his ill-fitting tackies. Now, let's face it, there's no way he would have made it even up the Van Riene's Pass with those tackies. That's the long and the short of it. After leaving escort, then Colenso, they got lost. But in the meantime, I had received the support of a member of the Loving Life family, Marius, who lived in Ladysmith. He said he would gladly let them stay at his home for a couple of days to recover after their ill-fitting shoes had caused severe blisters, in particular to the elderly Edward. When I say elderly, he's older than Jarrett. Marius actually drove out to rescue the two men who had taken a wrong turn and were heading for the Drakensberg instead of Ladysmith. In fact, it took Marius an hour in his car to reach them. That's how far they'd gone the wrong way. Edward's blisters were severe and he could hardly walk because of his ill-fitting tackies. Through the generosity of a Loving Life family member, Fiona Timms, with a donation of 5,500 rand, the two men were able to buy excellent tackies. The money was deposited in Marius's account and the tackies were bought through Marius's account. This is very important, as you will see in the future. This resolved their issue with blisters thereafter. The money was sent to Marius's account and he used that to buy the tackies. The 5,550 rand donation by Fiona was the first of two large donations made by the Loving Life family to help both walkers. Both walkers. There were many smaller donations to both walkers, which caused an issue, as Marius explains. Now, this is an email I got from Marius about a week ago when I explained to Marius things were going pear-shaped and asked him what had actually happened at Ladysmith, because Edward was suggesting that Jarrett was causing trouble. And this is what Marius, or Viking Boer, wrote about an incident that happened between Edward and Jarrett while they stayed at his home in Ladysmith. He writes, "The incident at my house was that Jarrett and Edward were in the kitchen, and I came in from my study room, and the two were arguing heavily about something. I could not make out what it was. Eddie was going off at Jarrett, and I had to stop them, and I put my arm around Eddie to stop the arguing. I was heartbroken, Scott, and said that it was not what I expected from them, and they must not do that to me, and they will not allow them fighting in my house over whatever. It was after that I went through to assist them. What I could make out later was that Jarrett was not happy that Eddie has control over the donations that they will get, which a woman by the name of Judy, who Eddie said that he trusts with his life, will admin and recon on their behalf. There was already a Capitec account that he was using for his walking and fundraising, so there was no need to use this NPO. After a long time, while Eddie was explaining to Jarrett that it'll be in the best interest to handle the funds, Jarrett agreed to fall in with his plan to use Judy as their help with controlling the account and sending amounts to them as they needed it on their walk for food or whatever their needs were. Those were the account details that I supplied to you after we came back from town, after we bought the tackies. The funds that came into my account were 5,550 rand. The tackies cost 5,400 rand, and I gave the 150 rand that was left to Jarrett to use for data. Remember that he complained in the car that his data was running low when we went to buy the tackies. Anyway, after that incident, it looked to me that they had sorted everything out and they were on the same level. And everything went fine, to the point when I dropped them off at the Chigella toll gates. After that, I don't know what happened, because every live stream thereafter looked fine to me. I even said in one live stream that I'm glad that they are like David and Jonathan. I really did not expect that it will turn out like this. I'm very disappointed in both of them that they could not work things out amongst themselves. Now, that's the end of Marius's email to me about the situation and what happened while they were at Ladysmith. What I did not know at this time was that Edward had an NPO called Seed of Love, administered by his girlfriend, Judy. The NPO had no funds in its bank account, and the donations from Loving Life family members intended for both Walkers suddenly became the exclusive domain of Edward's NPO. Controlling the money, Edward allegedly became belligerent and argumentative, deriding Jarrett as if he was his servant and had to do what he told him. This is not what our Loving Life donations were intended to do. After leaving Ladysmith, thanks to an appeal I put out on a live stream, Margaret donated 8,700 rand to secure the services of a support vehicle that joined them in the Free State. Once again, this donation was clearly given on the basis that the funds were to be split between the two Walkers equally. What happened was Edward transferred the money to his NPO under the control of Judy. At that time, I had no idea that Edward had an NPO administered by his girlfriend and that the funds were being placed in that account. This is not what we bought into at Loving Life. On their way to Bloemfontein, Edward and Jarrett spent a few days with Aubrey at Paul Roo. An audio exchange between Aubrey and Judy after Edward and Jarrett split up at Edenburg just south of Bloemfontein follows later in this video. Aubrey had previously supported Edward on a walk back in 2019 and was shocked by Edward's actions, as you will hear in the audio tape that follows. Jarrett alleges that he was threatened and verbally abused by Edward for most of the walk, and the abuse became more and more extreme as their walk progressed. In some of the live stream crosses after Ladysmith, you can see how Jarrett reflects the image of a person feeling threatened. I could pick it up, but did not say anything, as I felt I could be misreading the situation. After their support car, thanks to the large Loving Life donation, arrived, the walkers left Bloemfontein. The support vehicle was driven by Anthony Fish, who was on the WhatsApp group set up for Edward and Jarrett's walk. At Edenburg, the walkers and Anthony, the driver, stayed at the home of Corny, where Edward had stayed back in 2019 during an earlier walk. On Friday night, the 9th of April, something happened, and a huge rift resulted between Edward and Jarrett. I got several WhatsApps from both saying they wanted to pull out of the planned live stream with Jason Bartlett that had been planned for the next morning, and saying that they could not walk together. This happened out of the blue at this stage. I had no idea that things had gone so bad. Early Saturday morning, a week ago now, I contacted both to confirm that they would be going live with Jason. It was then that I learned that Edward had been thrown out of Corny's house at 4 a.m. that morning after she complained to police. The allegations are very disturbing. The allegations confirmed by two separate parties, this is Jarrett and the homeowner, Corny, are that Edward had been screaming down his mobile phone until midnight, keeping everyone awake, despite Corny asking him to be quiet. Then on early Saturday morning, it is alleged that Edward had on more than one occasion disabled the security camera in the house by going into Corny's private bedroom and turning them off from the controls, and had then gone and smoked under a smoke alarm, setting it off several times in the early hours of Saturday morning, until Corny had no option but to call the police to evict Edward from the house. When this information was relayed to me, I contacted Edward to give him an ultimatum. As Jarrett had said, Edward refused to walk with him and their support vehicle, which would be gone. The ultimatum was that the remaining 5,500 rand from the Loving Life donation must be split between both walkers. In the video clip that follows, you will hear the discussion between Edward and me on that Saturday morning, the 10th of April. And here it is.
You this morning or anything, I'm very sorry about that. That's not who I'm normally am, because my spirit is very, very, very disturbed. Do you remember the other day when I said to you I didn't want to talk when we were on the road? The same thing. Anthony tried to speak to him. He wouldn't listen. It's come to a point now that Anthony has given up, because I can't stand by and see what he's busy doing. His mother, Judy phoned his mother yesterday to try and get clarity on what's going on. And I don't know if Judy sent you the messages or and stuff like that. It's not to push him away. I've tried all the way along the way. I've tried to talk to him. I've prayed for him. But every single place that we've been to, I've got good friends now that I've made bad friends with. You know what I mean? So
I can't understand where Judy is your friend and she kicks you out at 4 o'clock in the morning. What was happening at 4 o'clock in the morning
Judy
that made that happen?
Judy never kicked me out, eh?
Who kicked you out? Sorry, not Judy. Well, the lady whose house you're staying at.
Yeah, well, she did the same thing to Quibus in 2019. She complained yesterday that we came there with so much food. We brought all the food to the table. We brought everything there. And she still moaned because she wants extra work done. And we are not slaves to a person that is just wants people to work and work and work. We don't mind doing work, but we need time to go and do what we need
Okay.
to do for
Edward,
Christ.
look,
I'm
Edward,
not, I'm not putting myself on a pedestal.
yeah.
I'm just waiting for my bags and stuff. Then I'm going to take a walk to Tromsburg.
Now, Edward, before you do
Yeah.
anything, we need to talk about a couple of things, okay? And I'm just going to get Jarrett on because it's important that I have both
No,
you guys.
I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk to that young man. If you need to talk, you can talk to Judy and sort everything out. What actually happened this morning with the police coming there, I'm not a criminal. If I want to be made a criminal, I can be a criminal, but that's not who I am. I don't want nothing to do with him. I don't want nothing to say to him. That's it.
Okay.
Finishing clock. Scott, I'm not
Well,
nasty,
I
but
don't think Jarrett was part of that, just to be fair.
How do you mean?
I don't think he was part of you being kicked out of the house at
But
4 o'clock in the morning.
no. I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about. I've got plenty places to go to. That's not the problem. The problem is that he didn't listen all the way about smoking dacha and stuff all the way. You know what I mean? He didn't. He thought he didn't want to accept the advice from Anthony. Anthony tried to give him advice. He didn't want to accept it. Now Anthony's going to go back to Cape Town. So what it's done
Are
is.
you going to walk without a car, are you?
Yeah, I've done it before. I know how to survive. I've got people all the way along the way. I know how to survive.
Okay, because
I've done
you know
it before.
that Jarrett's walking all the way too, don't you, to Cape Town?
No, that's his business. I don't. He can do what he has to do. I've got to do what I have to do. This is
okay.
It now will become a singular thing. You know what I mean? Not
Okay,
that
well,
I wanted it to be that way, but because he didn't want to listen.
I have just one condition on all this because the
No
Loving
problem.
Life family. Please listen to me. That the Loving Life family funded your vehicle. Okay. Now, how much money have you still got of that 8,700?
I don't know. I'll have to find out because Anthony was given 3,000 rand to come down, and we've taken money for food and everything. But I'll contact Judy, and I'll let Judy send you
So what's going to happen to all that food in the car?
Well, I don't know, Scott. You see, this morning when I said that our people perish from the lack of knowledge, I've also got a lot of. I'm not putting myself on a pedestal. I've also done a lot of wrong in my life. But being honest and truthful in Christ is where I'm trying to be. Even though I'm not perfect, I don't know what's going to happen to the food. I really don't know. I'm just waiting for my bag with my. We've got to get Anthony back to Cape Town too, because I mean he came out here and he tried his level best.
So what you're saying is there's probably about 5,500 rand still in the.
Yeah, if that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Or 3,000 come down. Yeah.
Yeah, about 5,500. So look, here's the deal. Okay, this is money that was donated by Loving Life family. Seeing that you guys are going your separate ways, you need to give half of that money, which is about 2,750 rand, to Jarrett, so he can use that money to get himself to Cape Town as well. Okay.
But how does Anthony get home now? That's the thing.
Well, it's 1,000 kilometers. That's what, about 1.5 tanks?
Well, it took him almost 3 grand to come down here.
$300 in petrol.
Well, I don't know. You'll have to ask Anthony. He's got all the slips. He's an honest man. He's not a person that lies or anything.
Well, can I speak to Anthony? Is he there with you?
Yeah, he's there in the house. He didn't want to talk to anybody this morning. I don't blame him because he's very upset spiritually and yeah.
So whereabouts are you?
I'm here by the shop. I've been sitting by the police station since 4 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're pretty pissed off, and I can understand that. All right. Look, Eddie, I'm going to have a chat to Jarrett and Anthony at the house.
Yeah.
And I'm going to just say to them what I said to you, is that there are two options. The three of you. And
one option.
No, please listen to me.
I won't be able to travel with Jarrett. That's it.
No,
that's it. Bottom line.
You don't travel with him. You don't travel with him. Okay. Listen to me. Listen to me, please. You can walk 200 meters apart. So you know
Okay,
near
where's he
each
going to
other.
stay then? Where's he going to stay?
Well, he
Because
can
we won't be
stay in
able to
his
stay in the
camp.
same place.
He can stay in his tent. He can stay in
We
a
won't be able to
tent.
stay in the same place. It's going to cause. You can speak to Anthony if they agree. Well, we can come to an amicable
Because
agreement.
look, here's the deal. The two options are that the money is either split between you and Jarrett, if you go your separate ways, so that you've both got money to get yourselves down to Cape Town, and it's got to be equitable. It's got to be straight down the middle.
Yeah.
Alternatively, which makes a lot more sense, is if Anthony still acts as the car. You guys don't have anything to do with each other. You stay a huge distance apart. You just do your own walk. And when you get to the next destination, he can put up his tent. You can go and stay with people you know. That's fine. But you've got that support car. You're going to be going through hundreds of miles of very desolate country. And there's no way that you know how you guys battle with your backpacks. You got to think rationally here.
Well,
You know, it makes absolutely no sense to get rid of that support vehicle. And as I say, if that's what happens, that's why I've got to speak to Anthony, because if that's what happens, then you got to
yeah.
split that cash down the middle so that you can both use that cash to get to Cape Town.
Well, Anthony's got to get home too, eh?
Yeah, well, look, I'll talk to Anthony about that. I'll speak to him
Okay.
separately. All right. So look, those are your two options. Have a think about it. And I will now to call Jarrett. I phoned you first because, with respect to
Yeah.
you, this is your event. But you know, we just came in to try and help. Okay.
Yeah, actually, yeah, no, that's fine. But he's got to remember one thing now. He's got to be taken off the walk for Christ, because he's not walking for Christ. He's walking for his own self gain, and smoking his dacha. That's it. I want him taken off the walk for Christ completely,
Well,
because he
that's on
doesn't.
WhatsApp.
Yeah.
You'll have
No,
to
he's got to be taken.
speak to your WhatsApp group about that, because you
No,
know
but he's not going to be able to. I've taken him off the group already. I've done that myself, because it was the right thing to do. Because his mother and sister yesterday, hey, you know what? When they were told this, it's not even like they were surprised. And I mean, here's a person that's coming to upset a vision that Christ has given somebody. You know what I mean? That's what I don't understand. I mean, but anyway.
All right, buddy. Look, you know the two
Thanks, Scott.
options. Okay, just think about the two options. I'm going to speak to Jarrett now and Anthony, because apparently they're both at the house,
Okay.
and I will have a chat to them, see what they have to say, because I think it makes, you know, look, you might not like each other. I get that, but
no, I don't hate him. I just don't like.
all right, whatever it is, whatever it is, I get it. Whatever it is, I get it. I mean, I've had this situation happen in my life too, but you can still be a huge distance apart walking, so that you're not getting in each other's space, but you could still have the support vehicle. And that's the important thing, because if one of you breaks an ankle, let's say you break an ankle, okay? You've already got a weak ankle. Now, listen to me.
I'm fine.
Now, Edward, listen to me. If you break an ankle, you know how easy that is, because of the curb. You break an ankle, now you're stuck in the middle of nowhere, no support vehicle. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I don't know. You know what? It's like,
no. Look, this is, you got to think
everything was
practically,
good.
buddy. You got to
Everything
think.
was good, and I understand, Scott. I respect you, but I have to say something else. Everything was good, but he brought a curse with him, and that's all I have to say.
All right. Well, that curse will be a long distance away from you, okay? Because he'll be walking a long distance away from you. You keep a big distance between you walking, and there's no connection, no contact, but you still have a support vehicle. I can't see you guys making it through the Karoo all the way to Cape Town without a support
Well, I
vehicle.
made it in 2019.
Yeah, but you were
made it
younger.
in
And let me tell you something.
well,
I heard you complaining all the time about your backpack and how heavy it was. Just think back to those times going up the Van Riemen's Pass. You know, you've got to start thinking practically, mate. this will pass. These feelings right now will pass. But
No, no,
you've
no.
all right. Look,
My feelings towards Satan will never pass. I'm sorry.
okay,
Scott, I respect you. That's
okay,
why I don't
okay,
want to say too much.
okay. Well, look, buddy, I'm going to leave you those two options. I'm now going to
Okay,
call um, Jarrett and Anthony and have a
okay,
chat to them, see what they want
okay,
to
no
do.
problem.
And as
All
I
right.
say, if Anthony goes back, obviously his petrol will be covered. But if he goes back, you've then got to split the cash, and Jarrett's got to get half, you get half, and I trust you to do that because it's got to be equitable.
No, no, well, yeah.
Alternatively, now hang on, listen to me. Alternatively, if you got the support vehicle, you can continue as it is because obviously you're going to have to give some money to Jarrett for food and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
look, those are the two options. I'm going to now call Jarrett and Anthony and have a chat to them. I'll get
Okay,
back to you shortly.
no
Okay,
problem.
mate.
Okay,
Cheers, eh?
bye.
Bye. Now, that was before we went live with Jason Bartlett. Despite the bust-up, both Jarrett and Edward agreed to come onto the live stream I had planned with Jason Bartlett, the young man who walked from Austin, Texas to Washington, D.C. last year to meet with Donald Trump. You will note that Edward refused to put his camera on, but confirms that he will walk alone, and that he and Jarrett had had a major fallout. He does not excuse his behavior or talk about his behavior from the night before, but confirms that he was sitting outside the local police station since 4 o'clock in the morning after being evicted. He confirms that. A couple of hours later, we went live with Jason Bartlett. Here are a couple of clips from that live stream. And please make note of the one where Edward clearly says, "I am walking alone." Okay, now, Eddie, you had a comment to make, and look, we understand that you're not involved in politics. That's fine, but hang on, Eddie, I'm still talking. Eddie, I'm still talking. Eddie, please let me finish, then I'll give you the floor, okay? Eddie, look, we understand that you have no interest in politics, but people are walking for different reasons, so you've got to respect that. Now, Eddie, I'm going to ask you the question. What inspired you to do this walk of faith from Howick in KwaZulu-Natal through to Cape Town via Bloemfontein? What was your inspiration? Please tell Jason.
You want the truth. You really want the truth.
Tell me.
You know what? Commitment to God, first of all. Not like some people believe things and disturb themselves with worries and stuff like that. We were used as pawns in a game as well, once upon a time. 1982, a lot of us got called up to the army, things like that. We've all been used as pawns in a game. The only way you're going to bring peace to this country is to get the youth right in this country. Mm-hmm. The youth is confused. How you going to do that? Are you going to go to Cyril Ramaphosa and go and talk to him? He's going to laugh at you. You know what? Unity is strength. That's the only way. If you're going to take that pen of yours to Cyril Ramaphosa, you know what he's going to do to you? He's going to laugh at you. You're never going to get him out of power. I don't like politics, but I'll talk politics this morning. I'll talk politics because some people don't understand that when you've been sleeping on the pavement for years and years and years, they think life is a joke. They take life as a joke. They're coming from an easy way of life, smoking their dacha and carrying on with and doing their drugs. They don't know that there is a calling for the older generation. All I've got to say is that I'm committed to walk still, but I'm going to be walking alone.
All right. Now, Edward, I understand that. But Jason, would you like to respond to what Edward's just said?
It's not a political fight, and they will make it a political fight. It's way more than that. They see it as red and blue and black and white, but it's not. It is good and it is evil, and there's no gray area. you do not live in that gray area. That gray area is also sin. It's where you convince yourself that nothing is wrong in this world, but there is a lot wrong, and you need to start standing up and saying, I'm going to do the good and not the bad, and actually go forward. So what you gentlemen are doing, I respect. On a physical note, you can't tell me much. I respect exactly what you mean. And those difficult days, there's mornings, especially if it's 6 o'clock. I know how you either feeling raring to go or you're feeling completely kaput. It's one of those two. But keep your head and just keep the Lord at bay. He's where I always went to in the morning and when I finished. Obviously, there was even times where I struggled. I doubted myself, but you don't have to. You have to push through. And both of you fight your own fight. It's just like the good word says, that you fight your own fight of salvation. It's different. All of our realities and our lives are different. But just keep strong and keep faith. Not the faith, keep faith. Because we do not fight against dimensions in this world. We fight way more evil people than Hitler and Stalin and Ramaphosa and all those people. We fight way more significant battles and fight those battles every day and stand up for our children's minds. I could not agree more. That is solely what I'm working on now, is the malleable minds of teenagers, to encourage them and build them up and show them that there's only one way. There's a nuclear family where there's the father, the mother, and the umbrella under the father, who is under the umbrella of the Father Almighty.
Amen. Now, Edward, would you like to respond to what Jason just said?
You know what? People think that life is a joke. Let me tell you something. I'm speaking to two specific people in particular.
Well, now remember what I said earlier, Edward. Please.
They will know exactly. I've got to say what I have to say. And if I'm going to say what I have to say it from here. You can't break what has already been broken. You can't do wrong to things that have already been done wrong to. So if we think we are clever and resting in ourselves that you can destroy something that God has put together, you know what happens? You have to watch out for that spiritual curveball that comes your way. That's the one you don't see. That's the one you don't hear. That's the one you haven't been trained for. That's called discernment. Discernment is not something you eat. Discernment is not something you smoke. Discernment is something the Holy Spirit gives you. But if you don't have it, that curveball is going to take you out of the ballpark completely. And you'll find yourself somewhere where you don't want to be, 6 foot under. So be careful. That discernment is a thing that you've got to discern properly. Not curse people and think you know about people. You don't know what's inside a person's heart. You don't know what's inside a person's head. You don't know where that person has been, what that person has done. So watch out for that spiritual curveball properly before you take on something of the magnitude of the ANC.
I wrote the email that I will recite to you now to Edward's girlfriend, Judy, who administers the Seed of Love NPO. The email was written after the split and spells out my position. This email was sent to her last Sunday, the 11th of April. At this time, Judy had already started attacking my personal assistant, Marlena, in several audio clips which I was forwarded and listened to. Judy claimed that no money would be paid to Jarrett because she controlled the NPO. I responded to attacks on Marlena and a refusal to split the Loving Life donation as follows, and this is exactly what I said in the only email I have sent to Judy. And I wrote, "Dear Sir, Madam," and in brackets, Seed of Love NPO, and with a carbon copy to Marlena, Loving Life Personal Assistant. Let me begin by saying the reason I threw my weight behind Edward and Jarrett as far back as Moy River is because it was a walk of faith, and I could see they needed help. Their tackies were ill-fitting, and Edward was complaining of blisters because his tackies were a size too small. As you are no doubt aware, I produced videos which resulted in members of the Loving Life family donating substantial amounts of money. I was personally involved in the money that was transferred to Marius to Blanche's account in Ladysmith to buy the new tackies. Several thousand rand was donated by Loving Life members to buy both Edward and Jarrett now new excellent and expensive walking shoes or tackies, which they purchased at Ladysmith. That money and the money raised in a separate donation, largely for the support vehicle, was never a donation to the Seeds of Love NPO. My understanding is that the 8,700 rand raised separately for the support vehicle and food and water for both walkers was paid into a Capitec account called Walk for Christ while they were at Ladysmith. In fact, it was actually a little bit later than Ladysmith, but who cares? These are the facts. Marius to Blanche paid over the money after the donations were initially made to his bank account. No reference was made to this being to an NPO, and I gave no authority for the money donated to both walkers to be placed into the Seeds of Love NPO. The money was always intended to support both walkers and not just Edward. On Friday night, I had a batch of WhatsApp from Edward saying that he was now walking alone. The next day I recorded a lengthy phone discussion I had with Edward after the live stream with Jason Bartlett, with Edward and Jarrett on Saturday morning, the 10th of April. Edward makes no reference during this phone call at any time to the Seeds of Love NPO. He does refer to his Capitec account holding the balance of funds from the 8,700 rand, which apparently stood at 5,500 rand. At that time, 3,000 rand being paid to Anthony, the driver, to facilitate acting as a support vehicle. As a donor, I made it clear to Edward during this recorded conversation on Saturday the 10th of April that as the vehicle would be no longer supporting them, they were going their different ways and Anthony was driving home. That's what Edward told me. The balance must be divided between the two walkers. This was the basis of the donation. It was never a donation to Edward or the Seeds of Love NPO. As discussed with Edward, this meant 2,750 rand being payable to Jarrett, something he never disputed. Again, I have the recording. I'm not interested in discussing the events that led up to the split this last weekend. There are always two sides to any story. Let's strike the facts regarding the donation. The current situation is that the 2,750 rand due to Jarrett is being withheld from him. I don't care where the money landed up. I just want it paid back to him without any further discussion or delays. And then I give Jarrett's bank account details. And I concluded by saying, we are not talking about a king's ransom. What we're talking about is providing Jarrett with the means to buy food and accommodation on his walk to Cape Town, i.e. survival. If Jarrett advises that the money has not reached him by the 17th, that's today, I will publish a video with voice recordings exposing how this young man has been left destitute by Edward in the middle of the Free State. I have close to 100,000 subscribers on my Loving Life YouTube channel, 70% South African. So I suggest that you think very carefully about my demand that Jarrett be repaid the 2,750 rand owing to him without delay. And I conclude by saying this is not negotiable. If the 2,750 Rand is not paid, I will go public on YouTube and social media. If it is paid, I will drop the matter, but would reflect that I would never leave a young man destitute like that in the middle of nowhere. Signed off, Scott Bolson, Loving Life. Judy responded on the 12th of April by WhatsApp as follows. Dearest Scott, I have forwarded an email supposedly sent by you. I personally don't see your heart in it and am concerned. Today I have had a conversation with Marlena, your PRO. I don't know what that is. It should be PA, but anyway. And it was disturbing, unethical, unchristian, rude and disrespectful, could be damaging to Loving Life should truth be exposed. Well, I've listened to the audio tapes, Judy, and believe me, Marlena was none of those things. Anyway, let's continue. Judy says, I did not want to send you your voice notes of interacting. Not sure you had time for this, but should you request to hear them, I will send. It saddens me that Loving Life's belief and support towards this walk has changed to the point of totally believing and supporting lies, choosing to slander and destroy what God has ordained. As Marlena stated, there are two sides to every story, and it is not interested to hear both. She is acting judge and jury. Scott, I was going to email this to you, but needed to make sure that you got it directly. Wish it wasn't like this. I have great respect for you and Loving Life. I responded to that WhatsApp as follows, on WhatsApp. As I said, if Jarrett is not paid his share of 2,750 Rand by this weekend, I will go public and expose what Edward has done. It's up to you. And don't refer to Marlena in a negative way. She was the warning of how furious I am about what Edward has done to Jarrett. Remember, I have the recordings of our discussion, which will be played in this video. So either he is misleading you or he is delusional, as the words you will hear come out of his own mouth. As I said to you in my email, I will not entertain any further discussion. I don't care where Anthony is or his support vehicle. The choice is Edward's. Pay Jarrett the 2,750 Rand, or I'm going to blow his walk right out of the park on social media, and yes, I am a devout Christian. At this time, I was removed from the walk's WhatsApp group, together with Marlena and Jarrett and others, by Judy, unsurprisingly. Jarrett, now stuck in Edenburg, while Edward walked to Trompsburg, apparently with a support car in tow, sent these voice clips to Marlena earlier this week. Let's listen to them.
Hello Marlena, good evening. I have just woken up actually. I took an afternoon nap and it turned into a very long nap, but it was good. I think it was very necessary. I haven't had too much sleep in the last few days. Yeah, Judy, she has messaged me a few times. She is set on trying to make me stop the race, or not a race, just stop the walk, and for me to go home. I did see that Anthony is continuing with Eddie. It's good for him, good for them. I think he needs a support vehicle. Yeah, and I've been skeptical about this for a while, and you asked if everything was okay with like set for food and all of that. So I'm still at the lady's house, Tani Korni, who I was at. She's in the last 2 videos that we did with Scott. I had everything packed and ready and set this morning to walk to Tromsburg, but I just felt I felt there was a bit more I had to do here. I didn't quite get much of it done. I did a little bit, just a few things in the garden. Still a few things I'd like to do, but I'm not sure if I will get to those. But yeah, I obviously needed a bit more rest as well. Yeah, so you asked if everything's fine. So it's fine for tonight, and it will actually be fun. I have, this is not something that has just happened here. This has been going on for quite a while. I told Scott ever since he was talking to you, when he was so rude to you, and I told him, dude, like this lady is trying, she's putting in so much effort and stuff, you can be a bit more respectful, but he ignored that and carried on. That's when I was talking to you. Yeah, ever since then, it's he's been telling me like when he gets upset or angry, like yeah, we're gonna this is not your walk, it's his walk, and that's I'm not meant to be there and I must go home and that kind of thing, or we're gonna walk separately or that kind of thing. So I have been preparing myself for that, and I do have some resources to support myself for a week or 2 weeks, or probably even the whole trip if I really had to. That and yeah, there's no money in the MPOs as far as I've been made aware, but like I said, I don't know if I said it to you, I've been kept in the dark on purpose about most things, like where we're staying, or any sort of money that came in. That was the initial fight, actually, because so that's how Judy comes in. I said because obviously donations must be split. Like if people give us 200 rand, we each get 100 rand, and then, well, we can buy each other stuff, but you don't want to ask the other person the whole time. So then, yeah, so if anything that's more than like 100 rand or something came in, well, just right in the beginning, and I just said, if he wants this MPO thing, which started off saying everything is like half, and then it started becoming like, no, actually it's like whatever he wants to share, and then the rest goes to this NPO, which I also have no idea about. I said it must go into like a shared account that we can both see any money that goes in or out, and also like open to even possibly public, where if anyone wants to donate, they can see how much other people donate, how much is in there, and then like all full transparency and I don't know what the other word is, accountability for everything, not only for us, for anyone else who is supporting us. That turned into a big fight, and that made me quite aware that there were things going on that were not how they were said to be going on. So that's why I have a trolley. I really don't need a backup vehicle. Maybe a little bit for safety, but sure. Honestly, everywhere that guy goes there is trouble. So it's probably safer being alone a little bit away from him. But anyway, so yeah, everything is fine. Everything is fine for me. I've had a very good day, restful day, caught up on some sleep. I contacted someone about a place to stay tomorrow, but they did not get back to me. So that's the only thing that I have not got any plans for. Like, I looked at a map today and looked at all the towns and the distances and all of that. And I will contact people, and I know God will provide when I enter a town. And you know what, worst comes to worst, I can find a caravan park, I can find a camping site, I can find like a backpackers or something. Like I said, I have been aware that there is a strong possibility of this happening. He's been saying that we would walk separately since Bethlehem, and every time he loses it over something. And he's been saying since Bloemfontein as well, so it's not unexpected. And I feel a lot more peaceful. I don't need to be talking about, like, I don't know, just war and violence and all this stuff, all this horrible fear creating stuff all the time. Yeah, so everything will be fine. Everything is good. I must decide if tomorrow is the day. I thought tomorrow would be the day. I thought today maybe, Monday is a bit busy for lots of people, and on the road is probably people are just tired from the weekend, so maybe it's a bit more dangerous. I think Tuesday is a better day to set out. Thank you for your efforts again. There have been a few people who have reached out to me as well, saying that they would like to support me from that group, and just a few of the people who I've met along the way. So I'm sure everything will come together just fine. Yeah, but for now, everything is good. Yeah, okay, I'm just going to send this now, and then if there's anything I forgot, I will send another message. So that MPO was a so what I said that about the account, about how we must get a new account specifically for the walk, and like maybe have 2 cards, or I don't know how it would work, but that NPO was not a solution. It was just like, it turned into such a massive argument that was his solution. But now Judy is his, like, I want to say girlfriend, but apparently they have fought and they broke up long ago, so it's like, I don't know exactly what is going on there. It's not my concern. But yeah, I had some concerns and complaints about that as well. It's like, you can't, if you're gonna have a person who's meant to be like the financial like overseer, they can't be involved with one of the people. It really needs to be someone who is in no way biased, or like, they need to be a neutral person if they're going to be that person. But yeah, that was obviously ignored for this reason that is happening right now, which I was quite aware of. And I had a feeling it would be like this, and honestly, it's like, it's almost like the money is sour, so it's like I don't even actually want it. But then again, it's not that, as Scott told me, because I think I said something similar to him. He said it's not their money at all. It comes from a Loving Life family member, a supporter, and their support was to support both of us on our walk. It had nothing to do with raising for any NPO, which no one's heard of. So it also makes me a bit skeptical about that. But yeah, it's that whole NPO story sounds. I was unsure of it. But yeah, I didn't really have much choice in the matter. As it has been most of the thing, which is part of the reason that this has all happened, where I don't agree with a lot of, well, firstly the like rude and violent tendencies, but also just like can just feel there's something that's not right there, and it's not for the right reasons. It's everything that's said. It's like it's said one way, but it makes me very uncomfortable because it's like it's you using something to get money that should not be used in that way for it's I don't know how to say this in another way. Actually, it's like it's almost like it's like I believe in Jesus, now you owe me money, or you are obligated to take me in and to give me something, and it's like it didn't feel right to me for quite a while. And then yeah, just coupled with the I don't it doesn't make me feel right. There's a lot, but I don't really want to go into it too much. It doesn't matter. Everything will work out just fine. Everything is going well, and it is going better. My emotional state is much better. Maybe I waited today, so maybe obviously it's a big thing to undertake now by myself, but it's for the last good few 100 kilometers we basically haven't been walking together anyway. He's been walking up front, like as far as he possibly could, as fast as he could, to try and like leave me or prove a point or injure me by walking too fast, which I just ignored and walked my pace, which is why he injured himself now again, or most times actually it's been that reason. So yeah, we've basically been walking separately for a while. But he found all the places to stay or to sleep. So that's the only like thing that I need to do and get sorted. But I know that will be handled just fine. There's always a way. Yeah. So thank you again. I hope you have a great evening, and I'll hear what you say if you listen to my messages now or tomorrow or something. Sleep well, and thank you again for your effort.
The latest claim by Judy and Edward is that Anthony has now had his mobile phone stolen, and that 2,000 Rand of the remaining 2,500 Rand in the Seeds of Love NPO has been used to buy him a new phone. Clearly, the NPO, if there is one, has no funds, and the donations by Loving Life family have been misappropriated by Judy and should never have been put in the NPO's account in the first place. There is a lot more to this story, but there is one victim here, and it is Jarrett. Listen to what Aubrey has to say to Judy about this and Judy's abusive response to Aubrey. Here we go. Now remember, Aubrey is the guy who looked after Edward and Jarrett at Paul Rue on their way to Bloemfontein.
Good morning, Eddie. I want to find out from you. I have a message where you left the young boy just there without anything, without even the split of the money, the 2.5 you have to give him. The poor boy who has to overcome his life, this kind of life he was living, who has to trust God, who does not even have money where he is today, where you just leave him, where God trusted you with this boy, Garrett. One day you have to give answers to God. One day. I don't know, it seems like things, even the lady where he was sleeping, I spoken to the lady. She said to me how you curse them and stuff like that. This is not how a man of God speak and curse people. If you don't give this boy what belongs to him, you will one day, God will ask you. You will be punished by God one day. I think your mission is to work for Christ, but God doesn't need a half offer, an offer who's not full enough. God does not love in Afrikaans. God hou nie van 'n halwe offer nie. I just leave you with these words. This guy wants to overcome. This guy, how will he trust Christians? How will he sit down and when he sit alone and said, is that the way Christian thinks? Is that the way Christians talk or walk or do things? And this guy wants to work for the Lord. And he need help. He need like people who can let him overcome these things, what he went through. But if you don't help him, and even where this lady, Marilyn, told me now, they paid over in your account, in your people's account, your Capitec account, a certain point of money where your institution don't want to pay over even for this boy. He also want to overcome what you overcomes. But yeah, if that's the way you people work, I'm really disappointed. Is that the way how other Christians do? I can't call myself a Christian if I curse people, if I don't care about people. Jesus never did that. So I'm asking you, what you did, it was not right to Garrett. And Garrett does not even, we worried, we don't know where he sleeps. We don't know, but we told him that he must overcome. Even if he have a bottle of water, he must drink that bottle of water and pray God's power over it. Hallelujah. Yeah, I'm asking you very nicely, do what God wants you to do, but not what your heart tells you to do.
Hi, Aubrey. I'm very disappointed in you actually saying the things that you have said on media, like openly to the group without actually having heard both sides of the story. I don't think it's right to slander or to judge somebody without knowing the facts. The organization that you're speaking about is an NPO, which it did put onto the group a while ago. It didn't wake up one morning and decide to go and walk. And there's a support system behind him. I am the lady that is actually the account holder for Walk of Christ. I work with a committee. There's nobody making individual decisions. We're not talking about thousands and thousands of money that was put into this account. As I put on this group this morning, there's about 2,000 Rand left, which we have decided we're going to replace Anthony's phone that was stolen last night because he needs it for this walk, which makes us short for the transport that will be needed to finish this walk. Secondly, I've been in communication with Jarrett and his family and Loving Life and everybody, and I would not like to be the one to post the messages that I got from Scott and his secretary. I think you would be then very horrified at if you had to listen to these messages, but I don't do that. I don't openly just condemn and judge people. I'm dealing with it on the sideline, trying to deal with them, but they do not want to communicate. Jarrett decided to leave the walk on his own. He was not forced to. I have messages on my phone where Jarrett was told by me there is chance for reconciliation, which Ed was happy to do. They've done this many times on this walk. There's been issues, which is just normal. No one can walk and be perfect. But they've dusted off, forgiven each other, prayed together and walked on. Jarrett was faced with this kind of situation to reconcile, and he refused it. He said, no ways. So should you want to know anything else, please contact me privately. I don't just speak in the air. I have proof and evidence of what I am actually talking about. This thing has totally gone sour, but I think it's also just sort of shown who is walking in this walk for Christ and who wants to cause discord. It's not the right spirit you have spoken, and I think you really need to apologize.
This is why I refer to Edward's walk as a walk of shame and Jarrett's walk as a real walk of faith, as Jarrett now heads off with no support vehicle and just enough money to get himself to Cape Town if he camps in the bush through hundreds of miles of terrain while walking down the N1. Now, if anyone can offer Jarrett, most importantly, some kind of a support vehicle or perhaps accommodation on his way towards Cape Town, please just contact me and I will put you in direct touch through Marlena with Jarrett. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I needed to get this off my plate because I hate it when you got someone who's claiming to be this wonderful Christian doing this sort of shit behind the scenes. Please remember to register to lovinglifetv.com to be kept informed and to hear on Loving Life on YouTube. Please like this video, please share this video, and above all, please stay safe. Bye for now.